Yes, better and better. That's a great phrase to open up today's show because
good, better, best? Nope, better and better.
As we push towards the game, it just gets better and better, leaning towards 2023 BYU football. What's Trending, presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families. It is Syllabus Day, BYU football friends. We welcome you officially to your advanced BYU football course. It's BYU Football 401, Jarom. Not 101,
nope.
Not 201.
Too simple.
Not 301.
Nope.
This is a level 4 class.
Yes.
Okay, we're going.
Which you and I did not really take. Too many of these at BYU.
We are going all in. Now, as you are joining us, you can take notes on the syllabus. There will be a pop quiz every Saturday and one on Friday, obviously based on the games. There is a midterm this season on October 21st, homecoming, when BYU hosts Texas Tech, some people's dark horse to win the Big 12. The final for this semester, Jarom, is slated for November 18th, when the Oklahoma Sooners visit Provo for the one and only time as a co-member of the Big 12 Conference.
Isn't that a little early, Spencer?
Well,
Professor Spencer?
We're doing people a favor by giving them some extra credit opportunities last few weeks of the season.
We are generous that way.
Over the holiday break at Oklahoma State, and then if there is a bowl game as well, there could be more extra credit earning opportunities.
Yes, there is. Okay, so for this class, BYU class starting next Tuesday, by the way, but we're starting a little early. Required for this course is consumption of this very program, BYU Sports Nation. Okay, you got to watch or listen.
How do you expect to do well on the test if you're not doing the reading, essentially?
Come on now. Bonus viewing is Coordinator's Corner, season debuts coming up at 2 Eastern. Satake Show, season debut coming up tomorrow night. 8:30 Eastern on the BYUtv app. BYU Satake Show, I mentioned BYUSN Game Day after further review. These are bonus viewing as well for this course. They will help you with this BYU football class that you are taking now. Let's go.
Okay, topics you need to study. Obviously, the BYU football roster. Is BYU going to bring similar offensive production? Are they ready for 10 Power 5 games? I mentioned the roster. How improved is the defense? What is BYU doing at safety? That really is maybe the biggest question to prepare for the Week 1 pop quiz against Sam Houston State. Which Kedon Slovis will BYU get? The 2019 Pac-12 Freshman of the Year version, or the one that showed up at Pittsburgh who was injured and didn't have the season that he was hoping for? Certainly not. And how good is BYU's running game actually? These are all topics we'll cover. And frankly, if you've been studying with this in the offseason, you have a great head start on this level 401 course.
Yeah, you may even have done some required viewing and have, taken our summer course in this. But yeah, and let's talk in depth about some of those. So the offense, similar to the last 3 years. Like, we're not talking schematically or formationally. We're talking about effectiveness. The BYU offense has been tremendous the last 3 seasons. Now, in COVID, certainly unique, but BYU was 6th in total offense, that is yards, and 3rd in scoring offense, that is points. Last year, 17th in yards, 28th in scoring O. And then last year, 36th in yards, 44th in points. Certainly points can go up there. We'd like BYU to be in probably the top 40, I would argue, this year with the Big 12 schedule. Maybe 44th would be just great. We'll see what that looks like in terms of how hard being a Power 5 team is, the week-to-week grind, the more challenging schedule from top to bottom. This is not the toughest schedule by quality of top-end opponents in BYU history. That would be like 91 or 03 or whatever. But this is 04. This is top to bottom. Like, there is not a gimme game in league. Like, BYU could always count on beating a handful of the Mountain West and WAC teams, a bunch of them, right? We cannot guarantee, except for Cincinnati, any Big 12 wins. We cannot. So this will be interesting to see. Can the offense, and I think the offense needs to carry this team. I would like the defense to produce some winning moments that help BYU, but I don't think the defense is going to win BYU very many games this year. It's just tougher against these explosive offenses. / new scheme, we're going to give them a minute to get into this. Perhaps midway through the year, later this year or next year, we're talking about, oh, the defense is doing it. But right now, the offense carries BYU football.
Are you listening to Professor Jordan? I hope so. I hope you're taking notes. That's great stuff.
If not, this will be on the pop quiz this Saturday.
I would add to the guaranteed potential Iowa State. They seem like a good bet.
Wow. Nice one.
Oh, God.
Not all puns are created equal. That was a good one.
Is BYU really ready for 10 Power 5 opponents?
That is a great question.
And one that we will study heavily throughout the season when it comes to, does BYU have the depth to sustain a schedule that features 10 Power 5 opponents? Jarom, how healthy are they coming out of the first 2 games?
How healthy are they now? Like,
right, at safety, it's a huge
receiver,
question.
they got deep enough to feel good about Darius Lassiter and Keelan Marion and so on. Like, okay, Kedon Slovis and Aiden Robbins, we're relying heavily on those guys. Offensive line feels deep, but they have to show it to us. They got some talent.
Yes.
They have to show it. And then defensively, is there depth in the linebacking core? I'm not talking about, are the starters good enough? I feel great about the starters almost every year for BYU at almost every position. Right now, defensive line certainly has been challenged to be better. And I'm excited to see what they can produce. And I'm excited about a lot of stuff. But backups, I don't want to know how good the backups are, but undoubtedly we're going to find out at several positions because violent football.
Of note, and you should remember this because this will come up at some point on some test, some quiz.
Pay attention.
Historically speaking, BYU wins about 40% of their Power 5 games.
Yeah.
Now, I know that BYU hasn't been a Power 5 team and had the recruiting impact from being in a Power 5 conference, and we believe there has been an uptick. So maybe the expectation is okay to be around 45 or 50% for the first few years. But historically speaking, it's been 40%, and 2022 with 5 Power 5 opponents was pretty much in line with that. BYU played 5 Power 5 teams, won 2, lost 3.
Yeah, so 4 and 5 is what we're hoping for along those lines, right?
2021 was the anomaly. 7 Power 5 opponents, 6 and 1 against those 7 teams.
5-0 against the Pac-12.
And 5-0 against the Pac-12, the de facto Pac-12 South champions.
Yeah.
So over the last 2 seasons, you combine that, it's 8 and 4. That would be the equivalent of BYU going 6 and 3 in the Big 12.
That's a lot to ask. That'd be awesome.
Listen, we're going to get to it in a moment. You'd receive a fantastic grade, BYU football, if you went 6 and 3.
We're grading on the curve. We'll tell you in a moment what that looks like.
12.
How improved is the defense? How improved is the defense? I'm interested in I like to quantify things here, what that's going to look like given a Big 12 schedule, Spence.
Because BYU's defense, not against a Big 12 schedule last year, Jarom, was not great.
No.
Okay?
So, in theory, it was easier last year.
The opponents were easier than what BYU is going to face.
And it was bad.
But the defense was, in some ways, historically bad.
So if BYU was slightly better statistically than last year, but against a much heavier weighted, shall we say, academically, schedule, does that mean they were vastly improved? I would argue yes. But we're going to quantify it in a million ways. They need some winning moments where at the end of the game they get a stop. Or as bad as the defense was last year, how did they finish the year? With a goal line tackle by Jacob Robinson. Like those moments, the PBU, the sack, the interception that ends the game, or gets the ball back and then you score to win, like winning moments.
And frankly, a pick 6 on defense by Ben Bywater in that same game. The 2 biggest plays of that game were both on defense.
Yes. The other pick 6s that happened were not like, you needed those to win. You know, Utah State got a little closer than we wanted. You know, earlier in the game, Max Tooley, Yes, winning moments will be a thing I am watching that is bigger than yards allowed per rush.
Yeah.
And all those matter. And EPA allowed and success rate. That's one that I will watch.
If BYU's defense is a little bit better against a tougher schedule, because I know, like I've asked for like a raise of 30 spots. They were 98th in total defense. I want them to be more middle of the pack, like around 68 or 70. But it requires, like, if BYU are playing the same schedule as last year, they might need to be like around 50, right? Against last year's
realistically,
schedule. And that would scoot back against a tougher schedule to around 70 this year.
I wonder what's fair realistically. we don't know how good or how the Big 12 will be and how hard. We think it's going to be, but how hard that week-to-week grind. We just have never seen this before for BYU.
Okay,
which is exciting. Let's play it out.
Next question on the syllabus that we need to be paying attention to is absolutely related to the BYU defense, and that is what the heck is BYU going to do at safety with Micah Harper out for the season with a torn ACL.
And it's bigger than that because Coug Connect has talked about potential other injury there for Talon Alfrey. I hope that we learn a little more about that because Talon was going to be in the top 2 starters there with Malik Moore. So we will discover perhaps more information there. But and there are other injured guys, but it's hush-hush in certain position groups and some less serious than others. What Coug Connect said is it's not season ending, which is great. But yeah, there's not a lot of experience behind them. Ethan Slade played a bunch last year.
Well, here's what's concerning about that.
Converted wide receiver. Raider DeMooney's a freshman.
Those are your two best strong safeties. There are 2 safety positions. There's a free safety and there's a strong safety. Both Micah Harper and Talon Alfrey are strong safeties.
Yeah, and Talon was kind of floating a little bit last year with the Malik injury, right? So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But that position certainly is a concern, given Micah out for the year and reportedly an injury to Talon Alfrey.
Your ability to answer this question will pertain largely on how closely you pay attention to our show and the shoulder programming outside of that.
Shoulder programming. Dang it. Which Kedon Slovis will BYU get this year is a question that we have discussed. We feel like they're going to get a version of him that is more akin to freshman or sophomore Kedon. I would take sophomore Kedon right now. Freshman Kedon was unbelievable. Can he be that version of himself? Aaron Roderick has proven he can coach the quarterback, so I don't doubt that is a possibility for Kedon. I would take the sophomore version of him, too.
I'm projecting a little more than 66% completion percentage and right around 3,400 yards from Kedon Slovis. So
that's a monster year.
That would be, in terms of yards, that would be more like freshman USC Kedon Slovis. But the completion percentage, he did that as a sophomore and junior at USC. I don't think that's unfair to expect that, but I think that there will just be a more explosive offense and more opportunities for him to air it out at BYU in his final season. He wants to get to the NFL. He's going to have to do something that shows
part of the reason
NFL scouts, I am that guy again that I was at USC. So which Kedon Slovis will BYU get?
Yeah.
I think it's too much to ask that they're going to get his freshman stat line. But, Jarom, I think he can hit some of those numbers and be pretty close to others.
Sure. Yards per attempt was 8.9 as a freshman. Then he goes 7.3, 7.2, 7.6. If he's in the 7.5 range, I would take that. I would love to be in the 8+ range. Cougar Stats has chronicled how good BYU is when the quarterback is 8+. When they go north of that, they're those offenses are really hard to stop.
All right, next question on the syllabus. How good is BYU's running game? How good is it actually going to be?
We like the pieces on the offensive line. We really like Aiden Robbins, Deion Smith, LJ Martin, and company. I think it's going to be a step forward from last year. If last year was B or B+, I think BYU gets to the kind of stays at a B+ or A- range against a tougher schedule and better defensive lines.
If you produce a 1,000-yard rusher, things are going well, especially against the uptick in schedule.
It doesn't have, but it doesn't have to be a 1,000-yard rusher. If Aiden is 900, but Deion's 400 and LJ's 250, 400.
Okay. You look at total rushing yards. If it's somewhere around 1,600, 1,500.
I don't know. I'm not concerned about the individual number there because it depends on who's feeling it, who's going. Aiden doesn't have to have a 1,000-yard year for me to be oh, that was a great year. It can be great without that.
Sure. So that's what I'm asking. Are you looking at the combo of those three? Is there a number that you want all three to hit?
Success rate, effectiveness on third down and short. Those are some of the things I'll be looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the kicking game, Jarom.
What are we going to see from Will Farron as the place kicker? We're not talking about punting. We're talking about actually making kicks. Can he be consistent? And can BYU make a kick from 45+? I would like to feel like if BYU is hanging between the 25 and the 35, that they are going to get a 42-yarder successful. Or if they're at the 33, can they kick a 50-yarder, or is it a punt? I don't want to. Or will they just go for it at the 33?
Which 33 are they on? Kalani Sitake
asks us. Nice. The 33 where you could score points. That's a question. We haven't seen. Will was the kickoff guy at Boise State. The guy in front of him that won the kicking battle was a Lou Groza type guy.
An award finalist. He was one of the best kickers in the country, and Will pushed him in camp, and so it's not like Will is incapable.
Right.
He just lost out to one of the best kickers in the country at Boise State.
Wilson, show me stage. We got to see it, right?
All right. We mentioned this course will be graded on a curve.
Oh, we're grading hard. We're giving you a lot here.
Okay.
Students.
So, listen, it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. This is going to be the toughest course that you and BYU football have ever taken. So here's how it works.
I like that 10+ wins graphic right there.
Okay. The threshold for success,
yes,
or to call it a successful season, is 6 wins and getting to a bowl game. If you
yeah,
want better than a C grade,
yeah,
you're going to need to win at least 6 games.
Yeah.
That is a B-. Okay. If you win
6 is B-. We're
5
giving
wins,
it.
5 wins this season is a C. Because that's the average that most national pundits are putting on BYU. That they're going to win
That's
5 games. Okay, the average.
We're being fair to the
6 is a B-. 7 wins will take your grade up to a B+.
Not bad. Only 7.
8 wins on the season is an A.
Wow.
Okay, and again,
go.
bowl game in play, there's an extra credit opportunity. So BYU could get to 8 wins with a bowl game win and still hit that A.
Let's go. I like the A+++.
9 wins,
Let's get to that.
10+ wins, off the charts are what my notes say. But yeah, an A triple plus.
Wow. Wow. Generous.
We're grading on a curve.
That's a massive curve.
6 wins for a B-, 7 wins for a B+, and 8 wins for an A.
Okay. Show up.
Okay, it's time for our brand new Monday mailbag, where we answer questions that you submit. We are heavily known for asking you all of the questions.
Yeah.
Well, now on Mondays, you're going to ask us the questions, and we will do our best to answer. This is like office hours for the professors, if you will, right? You come in and ask us questions.
We don't have to publish in the journal, right? We good?
I hope not. Travis Larson on Facebook asks, if Kedon Slovis is indeed an NFL quarterback, as many have projected, why is it crazy to think that BYU can win 8+ games?
Because the defense was so bad last year. And we don't know how new pieces will gel. We don't know how good the Big 12 is. We have low expectations because we've never done this. We don't know what this looks and feels like, and that's why. It's a great question, Travis, because if this is 2 or 3 years into the Big 12, I think we'd hope for 8. We'd talk about 8. We're talking about 6 or 7 right now. But it's a great question. I think that's why.
I mean, for some BYU fans, it's not crazy to think that BYU can win 8+ games.
There are those who believe that, yeah.
And again, are you adding a bowl game win into that equation as well? Because I think BYU is going to go 7-5 with Kedon Slovis and have a shot at 8 wins in a bowl game.
It would be tremendous.
Yeah, I'm right there on the cusp of that because I think he's very capable. Now, Brian on X asks, what is Jay Hill's defense more likely to do versus Sam Houston? Have 5 sacks and 2+ turnovers, or give up 20+ points?
I don't think the quarterback play from Sam Houston will be sufficient to get 20+.
Okay.
They've got talent at receiver and some talent at running back. They don't have a quarterback that scares me, though.
Yes.
It's the 5 sacks and 20+ turnovers.
Okay, so you think that's more likely?
Yeah.
See, I still feel like BYU could run away with this thing, and Sam Houston could kick a late field goal or score a late touchdown. It's like, 49-13 or whatever, and then they score a garbage touchdown. The game.
We're saying they're scoring at 3 or 4+ times.
Well, I mean,
okay then.
Like, they might score a couple of touchdowns and a couple of field goals. Like, I don't know. But
how about we say give up 20 or fewer points before the start of the fourth quarter?
5 sacks and 2+ turnovers? I feel like that's a lot to ask of BYU's defense. Like, 5 sacks is a ton.
Welcome to the new era.
One game.
I think they're going to get after it.
I would love 5 sacks and 2+ turnovers, but if we're just going like which is more likely straight up on this, there are a lot of ways to get to 20 points, especially if you score a late garbage touchdown. So I'd lean it's more likely that there's 20 points from Sam Houston. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. And how many does BYU score? Do we care if they hit 20 if BYU's got 56? No. It doesn't matter.
To me, it's about margin.
Yes.
Although we will overthink whatever happens. If BYU wins 70-0, we're going to the ship. No. If BYU wins by 7, we'll be like, why wasn't it enough?
Yeah. No Portland State 2017.
Well, that was a hint of what was about to happen. We didn't know it yet.
BYUSN on X, Facebook, and Instagram to submit your Monday mailbag questions. We'll do our best to answer as many of those as we can.